has anything to do with my physical reality. I'm not even buying into that. You know, she said, and I asked her why. I said, what, I gave you some predictions that weren't true? I told her. She said, no, not at all. But she said, one thing is true that you said it is terribly true. The older I get, the more spiritual I become. She was a life coach, and she used her spiritual bent, which was a Buddhist doctrine, and the doctrine of the laws of attraction, to move away from the fact that astrology had any bearing on what she was doing. So I didn't press her. I said, okay. So a friend of hers who introduced me to her was my client the entire time, right? So in the year 2008, Mars and Pluto conjuncted in the sign of Capricorn at 1 degree. Now the person I'm referring to, excuse me, was born on September the 24th of 1975. All right. This person had Mars, Pluto, Uranus, Mercury, and the Sun all in her 12th house. She was born with 20 degrees Scorpio rising. She's a Scorpio rising, right? Very beautiful woman too, I might add. All right, which is pertinent to the story. She was Essence magazine beautiful. Okay, really. I mean, Essence magazine cover beautiful. She can makeup model anybody's makeup, all right, and sell it. It would sell. She's a very beautiful woman, right? So, what happened is, long story short, let me shorten the story now, right? What occurred is that in 2008, when this conjunction occurred, it was very close to your birthday, Reese, and you came to mine. So I called you and told you about that conjunction, right? And I said to you, it affects this other person who I know, who isn't born in the same year as you, was born 3 years after you, but their sun is in the same place as yours. And this Mars-Pluto conjunction perfectly squared and forms a perfect 90-degree angle to where the sun was when she was born. Now the importance of that is that the sun in anyone's chart represents their life force. You understand? And the natal promise in her chart was the fact that she had Mars and Pluto in the same sign, not even 15 degrees from her sun, from her life force. So it was a promise, and it was in the sign of Libra. So it was a promise in her chart of a life-threatening situation through her partner or through partnership, or that she would threaten the life of her partner. Okay? So when it came to bear in 2008, I saw that configuration. I spoke to the friend of hers that introduced me to her, and I said, "Yo, what's going on with your friend so and so?" She's like, "Oh, she's doing good. Her boyfriend are in turbulence right now." I said, "Is this the cat who she got with back in 2005, 2006?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh wow." I said, "I need to talk to her. I need to talk to her because." If I speak to her, maybe I can give her some relief, because I know what kind of tension this is bringing. Mars and Pluto bring a challenge to her life. She's in a life-threatening situation. So her friend was like, man, don't go into that, Rob. That ain't real. I said, listen, man, it's totally real. It's totally real because I've examined the charts of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I've examined the charts of several other individuals who have Mars and Pluto conjunct. And of the 15 or 16 that I could cite, 11 of them have been shot, stabbed, or mortally wounded, if not killed. All right. And the other people who have this configuration have committed the act of mortally wounding another or killing another. So what Mars and Pluto conjunct promise you is violent death or death by violence. Whether you are the recipient of, the observer of, or the committing or the perpetuator, the perpetrator of, is what the astrologer can never know. We cannot know that. Not nowadays. I can't see, when I see Mars and Pluto conjunct, I can't say, oh, you're a murderer. Or I can't say definitely you'll be murdered. I can't say definitely you'll die by fire. What I can say is, you will experience either personally or observant, or you will observe a violent death, or you will experience violent death. whether you are the recipient or the perpetuator of it, or the perpetrator, pardon me, of this action, is in the realm of karma, something I can't touch. So anyway, I call her. She calls me after I told her friend to tell her to call me. She calls me and she's like, "What is it now? I told you a couple of years ago I wasn't allowing this philosophy. I wasn't getting into this doctrine." I said, "Listen, man, regardless of whom or what, you're in a situation with an individual who will pose a threat to your life because that's your natal promise." And I asked her for his birthday so that I could put his birth, because if you have the birth date of the other person, you can most definitely bring more light, shed more light on the situation. So she gave me his birthday. He had Mars and the Moon and Pluto conjunct in Libra as well, which would say that he violence against his partner, against other, specifically a woman, because the Moon was involved, was there. So I asked her, does he have any history of violence? She said no, but he was in the military. So then I said, well, that's violence, whether it is governmentally condoned or not. That's violence. She said he was in the war in Guyana. You know, in 1984, they sent troops to Guyana. There was death and killing there, okay? Boom. I said, okay, I believe that this cat collects, because it was in the second house of his chart, it indicates that he would possess things with which to commit these acts. I asked her, did he owned weapons and knives? He said, oh, yeah, he decorates his den, has swords on the wall. He has like 4 sets of swords in his den. In the garage, he has a shelf where he keeps multiple hunting tools, which are guns and knives. Okay. So I said to her, well, now I would advise you to move to California, because she had 2 properties. She owned a property in Maryland. She owned a property in California. So I told her, she's presently in Maryland, where he was at in Maryland. I said, yeah, move to Cali. You know, just go there for a couple months. She was self-employed. She works through the phone. I said, so it's not like you have to take off of your job to do that. Just move to Cali and continue to do what you're doing for the next couple of months, and you'll be okay. She asked me, do you see me dying? Well, because Jupiter was not in bad aspect to this configuration to her natal promise, I said, nah, I see you escaping death, but I don't see you escaping a wound or being injured. Long story short, the conjunction occurred, the promise in her chart occurred on September 24th, 1975. It repeated itself by transit on December 28th of 2008, and on January the 14th of 2009, which was 17 days after the conjunction, he shot her in the face twice. He shot her in the face twice. And she survived. She now has a prosthetic eye. She now has a steel plate to replace 1/3 of her skull on the right side of her face. All right. So his natal promise was there. Okay. I didn't even give all the details. Long as my narration was, I didn't even give all the details. And they don't even have to be personal details, personal with regard to who she is, her identity. I didn't give other conversation that we had, you know. I gave conversation several times before it happened. In the first week after the 28th of December of 2008 to January the 5th, you know, I practically begged and pleaded with her. So, you know, and I gave her different scenarios, and she accused me of trying to scare her, you know. So this is an example, really, for you astrology students, and and those of you interested into studying the science. This is an example of how the natal promise is there. Regardless of your spiritual bent, I'm going to tell you this. I don't care how much meditation, how much you believe in the laws of attraction. The sun in summer is hot. It makes the weather on the northern hemisphere of the planet Earth warm. And no amount of willpower, no amount of spiritual practice, meditation, incantation will change the fact that it's going to be summer in between the months of June and August on the northern hemisphere of this Earth. So when I say that to tell you that what is in your birth chart describes the seasons of your life. Not necessarily, it definitely describes the physical seasons, but not necessarily do those seasons come forth in in the order that